Well, next here tonight, we have an in-depth look at local police agencies and whether or not they're cooperating with ICE as part of President Trump's mass deportation campaign. It really does vary from department to department across the country. Watch.
The Trump administration is pressuring dozens of cities and states that they need to lift restrictions on cooperation with immigration agents or risk losing federal funds.
The police chief in Washington, D.C. says that her department is going to be increasing cooperation with immigration agents.
They're not cooperating with immigration enforcement.
The Pueblo County Sheriff's Office plans on assisting ICE.
Demand that the sheriff stop cooperating with ICE.
More local cooperation with federal authorities.
Depends on where you are, right? Here at home, Investigative Post is out with new reporting today on a half dozen local law enforcement agencies here that are cooperating with the roundup of migrants to varying degrees. J. Dale Shoemaker reported this story along with his colleague Adam Smith-Perez at Investigative Post, and Dale joins me live. Great to have you here. So here in New York State, we have a state Supreme Court ruling that basically says local police agencies cannot participate in civil immigration enforcement. I think the argument here for these police agencies that are helping ICE, they would say it's the criminal side of it. But I want to start here with Cheektowaga police because you really dug into this and found 21 migrants have been turned over to federal immigration agents after they were detained on low-level offenses, things like shoplifting. Why is this happening so much with Cheektowaga police? And we'll talk about the others.
So it remains to be seen why Cheektowaga police are doing this so frequently. The really important thing to note here, based on what you kind of said in the intro here, is that the police are enforcing local and state criminal law. They are not enforcing federal law. And so these people who are getting caught up by Cheektowaga police, for example, they may have broken a state or local law, but they may not have violated federal criminal law at all. Maybe they have status, maybe they don't. The Attorney General has been pretty clear that that's not really a determination for local police to make. But what we found in our reporting is that these local police are in fact taking it upon themselves to ask questions about citizenship, to ask questions of whether somebody's in the country illegally, and then depending on their more or less untrained response to that, the response they get to those questions, and again, they're not immigration enforcement officers, they're then calling Border Patrol saying, we've got a suspicion that this person might be illegal. Border Patrol then says, we'll take it from here because they're under the mandate from President Trump.
So obviously we have New York State Police, you have the Buffalo Police Department, the largest in our region. They're not doing any of this, but there are, as we mentioned, there are a half dozen or so agencies that are.
Yeah, so among them are the Erie County Sheriff's Office, the Niagara County Sheriff's Office, which went the extra step of getting a formal agreement with ICE. That's kind of one of the formal legal workarounds to this. They have an agreement in place where their officers can ask these questions. They can enforce civil and criminal federal immigration law, and they're detaining migrant women at the Lockport Jail. Other police agencies include Amherst, Tonawanda, North Tonawanda, Lewiston. Again, we haven't seen that Buffalo do that, and Mayor-elect Sean Ryan says it's just not the job of a local cop to enforce federal law. When we did an interview, he gave this analogy, which is if you don't pay your taxes, Buffalo cops aren't banging down your door to make you pay your IRS bill. He says same thing applies with ICE. If you are in this country illegally, that's not necessarily the Buffalo cops' job. Other departments take a different tack, and they say it is our job, in fact, to say, oh, this person speaks Spanish and they've got tattoos. We're going to assume they're illegal, and we're going to call Border Patrol.
I know that there are advocacy groups that are upset at the local police agencies that are, assisting the feds in what many consider to be an inhumane deportation policy. Obviously, people can disagree on that. But what is the response when they're told, look, this is just about public safety, and that local police, if they believe someone is here and broke the law, that they should face consequences for it?
Well, the local cops are doing their jobs. They are in fact enforcing state and local criminal law. People are getting picked up at the mall, at Walmart for shoplifting, and they are being prosecuted for alleged shoplifting. They are, violating traffic laws and getting prosecuted for those offenses. The local cops are doing their job in that respect. The point here is that they're going an extra step, and they're then enforcing federal law where they don't really have the jurisdiction to do so. And while they're doing so, they're making mistakes. We interviewed one man who is a U.S. citizen who the cops suspected was an illegal immigrant. He wasn't. He was born in the Bronx. There's other people who have legal status, or they have a pending asylum claim. We interviewed a father and son who ended up in ICE detention for a month. ICE let them go because they had a pending asylum case. Yet the cops took it upon themselves to call Border Patrol. They ended up in detention, and the son is, as the father told us, traumatized as a result.
In this article, Dale goes into a lot of those specific cases, right? You got all the documentation, talked with people. It's really fascinating. I encourage you to go to investigativepost.org and read all of it. Dale, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.